Hey everybody, Sean here from VidGamiac.com. Here we are today back in Kingdom Hearts Final Mix, grabbing the Synthesis Master achievement. This is to synthesize every single item in the Synthesis shop. You can first get access to the Synthesis shop as soon as you beat Agrabah and have unlocked the Green Trinity. Head back to Traverse Town and then make sure you stop by the accessory shop. There's going to be a Green Trinity mark in front of the jewelry case right here. Make sure you use it, and that should give you access to the second floor of the accessory shop, which is going to be the Synthesis shop. So make sure you climb up the ladder and then head on up here. And then there's going to be 3 Moogles in here. What you can do is you can talk to this one over by the oven, and then he's going to tell you to talk to the other 2. So make sure you talk to the other 2. They're going to explain to you what Synthesis is. Basically, Synthesis is going to be the crafting system in this game that is going to allow you to craft items and accessories. And more importantly, it's going to allow you to craft the ultimate weapon once you get through the entire list. So obviously crafting is going to require some crafting items, and those can mostly be found through enemy drops. Every single type of enemy in the game is going to have a certain chance of dropping a specific item, and you are going to need a certain amount of every single specific item in order to get through the synthesis list. Now, to speed this up a bit, all 3 characters will have an ability called Lucky Strike. What that does is, if you have all 3 equipped on all 3 characters, it should multiply the enemy drop rate by 2.5 times. So you make sure you equip it whenever you learn it. Sora will learn it depending on whatever weapon you chose at the beginning of the game. If you happen to pick the shield, he will learn it at level 24. If you pick the staff, he should learn it at level 48. And if you pick the sword, he will learn it at level 90. Donald will always learn it at level 44, and Goofy will learn it at level 24. As for the item locations, I'm going to be doing this guide from the perspective of someone who has completed the first visit to Hollow Bastion. The reason for that, obviously, is once you complete the first visit to Hollow Bastion, all of the enemies all throughout the game are going to change their locations. So keep that in mind. Also keep in mind it is going to be easier to get most of the early items before you go to Hollow Bastion. So you might want to look into that if you are struggling for some of these. Feel free to skip around in the video if you need any specific items. I will show you how many you need and the best place to farm them. We are going to go in order of tier list and then by element. So we're going to start off with the first tier 1 item, which is going to be the Blaze Shard. You are going to need 12 of them, and the best place to get them is from Red Nocturnes. They will have a 15% drop rate if you have 3 Lucky Strikes equipped. Post first Hollow Bastion visit, the best place to find them is going to be inside Monstro. Obviously, the Red Nocturne is a very common enemy in the early game. However, you're doing this in the late game, you want to make sure you head over to Monstro. They should appear in pretty much every single chamber. They're going to be the red elemental enemies. Taking care of them, we can move on to number 2, which is going to be the Frost Shard. You need 10 of these. These are best found by killing blue Rhapsodies. They are going to be another elemental type of enemy that are going to be way common in the early game. However, if you're doing this post Hollow Bastion visit, what you want to do is you want to make sure you head over to Wonderland, and then they should appear all over the Lotus Forest. Make sure you kill them. They are going to be the blue guys. They actually have a pretty high drop rate with 30% if you have 3 Lucky Strikes equipped, so make sure you farm them for the Frost Shard. Meanwhile, the Thunder Shard, which you need 12 of, can also be found in the same location and is best farmed at Wonderland in the Lotus Forest. So make sure while you are working on Frost Shards, you also work on Thunder Shards at the same time, since both enemies will appear in similar abundance. And you might as well work on 2 at the same time and kill 2 birds with 1 stone while working on both items. On to item number 4. This one's going to be the Bright Shard, which you need 13 of. This is going to bring us to the 4th elemental type, which is going to be the Green Requiem. They have a 25% drop with 3 times Lucky Strike. Best place to farm them is going to be over at Deep Jungle. Make sure you head over to the tent and then make sure you leave into the camp. The best place to find them is going to be the cliff, so head through the bamboo thicket to the place where you fought Clayton and the Stealth Sneak, and there should be a bunch of them, and this is going to be the best place to find them in this portion of the game. The best place in the cliff to find them is going to be on the right side cliff face, so make sure you climb the vine up, or you can just use a high jump. Once you get up on the cliff, you will notice there's going to be a ton of them, so that combined with their high drop rate should guarantee you a slew of bright shards here, so this is going to be the best place to get them, and of course you can just kind of farm this one little area over and over until you get enough. As for the next item, we are going to have the Lucid Shard. You are going to need 19 just for crafting items. However, one of the crafting items later on is going to require an ingredient that is also a crafting item. And for that, you're going to need an additional minimum of 18 Lucid Shards. So you're going to need 37 in total. Lucid Shards can be dropped by shadows, which obviously are going to be the most common enemy in the game. They have a very low drop rate, but obviously shadows will appear in large numbers. Best place to farm shadows in the late game is going to be Wonderland. Head into the Bazaar room and you should have a chance of spawning a group of 10 shadows. They won't appear every time, but when they do appear, make sure you take advantage of them. Once you take out the first group of 10, you are going to get another 2 waves, and basically what you want to do is you want to keep killing them. Obviously, every time you fight them, you're going to have a chance of them dropping Lucid Shards. However, if you manage to take out all 3 waves, you should start the Rare Heartless fight against the Giga Shadows. Giga Shadows will also have a chance of dropping Lucid Shards, but you are going to want to farm Giga Shadows for the Fury Stone, which we will cover later on in the guide. However, if you are working on grinding out Fury Stones, you are obviously going to make progress towards Lucid Shards. So again, this is another one where you want to kill 2 birds with 1 stone and work on both items at the same time. Skip ahead in the video for the Fury Stone part if you want more info on that, but here are going to be the Giga Shadows. Again, these will also drop Lucid Shards, and each one you defeat in its respective group will have a higher chance of dropping a Lucid Shard, so keep that in mind. Power Shards, thankfully, are going to be one of the easier Tier 1 items to find in the late game. You're going to need 13 of them. Best place to grind them is going to be Deep Jungle. Make sure you head over to the campsite. Head on outside. They can be dropped by the 2 monkey type of enemies, so the Power Wild or the Bouncy Wild. Bouncy Wilds will have a slightly higher chance of dropping them, however, they are slightly more uncommon than the Bouncy Wild. Just clear out the camp and you should be good for finding Power Shards eventually, and then just keep farming until you have the necessary amount. Spirit Shards can be dropped by soldiers or large bodies, and these are going to be more common enemies in the early game, slightly rarer in the late game. Best place to find them is going to be in Agrabah. They are going to appear in town, so make sure you head either to the storage or you head over to Aladdin's house. Head out into the streets, and they should appear all over the place. Just make sure you farm them and then grab the Spirit Shards. You don't need too many, and you should probably have enough just from playing through the early game like normal, since you do encounter these enemies in high volumes. That's going to take us into the first of the Tier 2 items, which is going to be the Blaze Gem. You are going to need 10 of these. These can be dropped by either one of the 2 bandit enemies, which can be found in Agrabah. You want to make sure you head over to the Cave of Wonders, so make sure you hop over to Dark Chamber and then head outside. They can be found all over the cave, so just make sure you walk back and forth and keep killing them. The best place to find them in high volume is going to be outside the entrance, so make sure you head over there. Then just farm away and then just keep running laps around all of the rooms in the Cave of Wonders. So just make sure you keep making laps between the front of the entrance all the way over to the keyhole room, and then just keep going back and forth, and eventually you should have enough blaze gems to cover the amount you need. So super duper easy for this one, since this enemy does appear in high quantities still, even after the first Hollow Bastion visit. Wish I could say the same thing for the next Tier 2 item, which is going to be the Frost Gem. You're going to need 10 of these. These are very difficult to find post Hollow Bastion. These are dropped by either the Sea Neon or the Sheltering Zone, the 2 jellyfish type of enemies found in Atlantica. Sea Neons will stop appearing naturally in their entirety once you have completed the first Hollow Bastion visit. The only way to get them is to split up a Sheltering Zone, and Sheltering Zones are going to be few and far between once you come back to Atlantica post first Hollow Bastion visit. So there aren't going to be too many of them, so take advantage of the few that there are. However, there is an alternate way of getting Frost Gems as well as any Tier 2 item. So if you don't want to sit through the mundanity that is swimming back and forth in Atlantica, farming the few jellyfish creatures over and over, skip ahead in the video to the Mystery Goo section, and we will cover the alternate way of getting the extra Tier 2 items. That being said, the next Tier 2 item is unfortunately also found in Atlantica. It's going to be the Thunder Gem. You're going to need 15 of these. These can be dropped by either the Screwdriver or the Aqua Tanks. In your post-first Hollow Bastion visits to Atlantica, you are going to notice that Screwdrivers will mostly appear attached to Aqua Tanks. So they are going to appear like this, basically Aqua Tank on top with 3 Screwdrivers propelling it forward. So you're going to have 4 enemies that you can kill for Thunder Gems. They aren't as hard to farm as Frost Gems, however, they do appear way less, especially if you're doing this post-first Hollow Bastion visit, so make sure you keep that in mind. Bright Gems can be found from Search Ghosts. These can appear in Monstro and Halloween Town, but ironically, the best place to farm them is going to be in Traverse Town. Make sure you head over there, and they can best be found in the 2nd District. So hover on over to the 2nd District, and then make sure you just drop down to the center a bit, and you'll notice there's going to be a ton of Search Ghosts here. Keep in mind, we will be doing laps around Traverse Town later on to farm all of the Tier 3 items, which are going to be all of the crystals. So if you can, I recommend holding off grinding bright gems until you are working on the other 4 types of enemies that will appear all across Traverse Town, and that way you can work on 5 things at once. You are going to need 13 Lucid Gems. These are best found in Halloween Town. The main 2 enemy types, the White Knight and the Gargoyles, will drop them. They have the same chance of dropping them, so it shouldn't really matter which ones you fight. And thankfully, they will still appear in abundance after your first Hollow Bastion visit. So head into the major Heartless cluster areas, which is pretty much any area that is going to be the graveyard and beyond. They should appear in pretty high volume, and they can appear in all 4 of the major Heartless areas, the graveyard, Moonlight Hill, the bridge, and the manor ruins. Just make sure you just run laps around the world and then just keep farming these. Again, this one's pretty easy since these Heartless don't disappear like the other types of specialty Heartless. You may also want to work on this while grinding out Blazing Stones, which requires you to go over to the Manor Ruins in order to farm Chimeras, and at the same time, the Chimera will also spawn a ton of Gargoyles, so you can take advantage of both at the same time as well. On to the Power Gem. These can be dropped by the 3 types of pirate enemies found in Neverland. You're going to need a total of 7 of them. Make sure you head over to the cabin, and there's going to be a very convenient circle you can run in order to farm power gems way easier. Take the doorway into the hall, and then out here there's going to be a slew of pirates as well as dark balls. Obviously focus on the pirates since they drop power gems. Make sure you take either door back to either cabin and then just float up into the captain's quarters. And then in here there's also going to be another slew of pirates. Make sure you take them out, and then hopefully they should drop what you're looking for. Once you clear the room, make sure you take the door out. This will take you onto the deck of the ship. There's going to be 3 different types of encounters that can happen here. You are either going to get the rare Heartless, some rare truffles, or what you want for this particular grind is going to be the 4 dark balls out here on the ship. If you happen to take out all the dark balls, you should spawn in the air pirates and the battleships, which are going to have a slightly higher chance of dropping power gems compared to the regular pirates. Keep in mind, try not to kill them over the water. If a power gem drops into the water, it will disappear, so be a little careful with that. Also, with the battleships, you can increase its chances of dropping a power gem if you take out its mast or its cannons. So once you manage to clear out the deck, if you do get the normal Heartless, or if you get one of the encounters that you don't want, make sure you head through the door on the bottom, and this will take you back into the hallway. The pirates will respawn, and then you can take them out for another chance, and you can just keep running this circle over and over. Make sure you head into either one of the cabins, make sure you float up into the captain's quarters. You should get another slew of enemies here, take them out, and then back out onto the deck to either check for the encounter you want. If you get the encounter you want, work on grinding. If not, just keep running the circle over and over, and your power gems should come in no time. Alright, on to Spirit Gems. Thankfully, you only need 4. These can be dropped by Air Soldiers. Air Soldiers are going to be fairly common in the early game. If you're doing this in the late game, the best place to find them is going to be in Wonderland. Head over to Queen's Castle. You can go either direction here. So Lotus Forest should have a few of them in the center, so take advantage of that. Keep in mind the drop rate is going to be pretty low, only at about 10% with 3 times Lucky Strike, so be a little careful with that. But once you manage to take out all the Air Soldiers in the forest, you can actually backtrack. So there should be a slew right here in the middle, and there should be a few towards the back of the forest, so just take all of them out. You can also work on your 2 shard items, the Frost and the Thunder Shard, at the same time, so make sure you keep all that stuff in mind. But once you clear out the forest, what you can do is you can head back to the castle, and then make sure you head into the Bazaar room. If you don't get the encounter where you get the Wave of Shadows, there are going to be a bunch of normal enemies. Most of the enemies here are going to be Air Soldiers. This is where you want to get the bulk of your Spirit Gem grinding done. But honestly, since you need so few, you should have a bunch from just playing the game like normal and having the high abundance of Air Soldiers early on. On to the Mystery Goo. You are going to need 10 of them, however you may need extra if you are planning on crafting extra mithrils if you are lacking in that. These can be found by the 3 types of mushroom enemies. The easiest one to find is obviously going to be the white mushroom, and it's going to be the easiest to farm. Now, white mushrooms can be pretty much found in every single world. However, you want the most simple white mushroom in order to farm it, which is going to be a white mushroom that only has 3 types of commands. So the easiest place to find and farm them is going to be Wonderland. So head over there and make sure you stop by the Queen's Castle. We are going to farm them in the Lotus Forest. So if you happen to go into the Lotus Forest and happen to get a white mushroom encounter, they should appear all over the place. There should be 4 of them. So to have the best chance of a white mushroom dropping a mystery goo, what you want to do is you want to make sure you do 3 matching spells. So make sure you look out for its commands. You kind of have to be a little patient, and this is going to take a lot of luck if you want to get a high volume. You probably won't have enough time to get all 4. However, you should be able to get at least 1 or 2, maybe 3 if you're lucky on the draw. Matching all 3 of its commands is going to give you the appropriate spell art, which of course you do need for Goofy's Dream Shield. It's also going to give you a higher chance of dropping a mystery goo, which is what we're looking for, and you are also going to have a chance of it dropping the appropriate tier 2 item. So, as mentioned before, if you are struggling on working on frost and thunder gems, this is going to be the best place to grind them out. So, look out for the blizzard and the thunder commands, and then you can work on those 2 tier 2 items at the same time, and you can save yourself the pain of trying to farm in Atlantica. Onward and upward to all of the tier 3 items. This is going to be the lightning round. Lucid crystals, you are going to need 9 of them, can be dropped by dark balls. Very low drop rate on this one, but dark balls are going to be super common. Power crystals, you're going to need 3 of them. These can be dropped by wyverns. Again, a low drop rate, but you don't need too many of them, so it's not too bad. Then shiny crystals, you need 3 of these. These can be dropped by wizards. Not too bad. We do need to farm wizards in order to get the wizard's relic for the staff achievement. And then you have bright crystals, which you need 4 of, and these are dropped by defenders, which we also need to farm in order to get the defender's shield drop for the shields achievement. So all 4 are best grinded in Traverse Town. So this is going to be the loop you want to run in order to grind all 4 of these out. Again, you can also use this loop to work on bright gems, which we will get from Search Ghost. And of course, this route is also best used for grinding out wizards and defenders for the wizard's relic and the defender's shield, respectively, for those achievements. So the route I like to take is starting off in First District, which one is you want to take the shortcut into the alleyway. Make sure you take out all of the dark balls and wizards down here. So there's going to be a ton right here in the main alleyway, so just go through the route and then take the corner. You should encounter some search ghosts as well as another wizard once you round the corner, so take them out. Instead of heading through the Dalmatian house, what you want to do is you want to jump up onto the balcony. There should be some wizards up here, so just glide on through and then let them spawn, and then just make sure you take care of them as well, and that's going to clear out the entire alleyway. What you want to do is you want to stay on the balcony and you want to head into either room. So you have the red room and then you have the green room. The green room is going to have some search ghosts and the red room is going to have some dark balls. And of course, feel free to modify the route if you happen to have a completed number of any one particular item. So you can go to either one or both of the rooms if you still are working on grinding out one or the other or both. Once you have taken care of that, make sure you head out into the hallway. You are going to encounter a wave of defenders. Make sure you take care of all of them. There's going to be a total of 3. Once you take care of them, there's going to be a wave of wizards, and then you can take care of them. This section of the loop is also going to be the strategy we are going to use in order to get the Wizard's Relic and the Defender Shield, so we will cover that in the Staves and the Shields guide, respectively. So look forward to that, but that's going to be the basic strategy. Once you have cleared out the hotel hallway, feel free to head into the second district. I like taking the far door. Now, you are either going to get the normal Heartless encounter, which if that happens, feel free to grind out in the second district, or you are going to get the rare Heartless encounter with the Sniper Wild. Whatever the case, whatever you decide to do, just make sure you head into the Gizmo shop after, and then in here there's going to be a bunch of waves of all 5 Heartless that you're looking for. So make sure you take out the Dark Balls, Search Ghosts, Wyverns, Wizards, and Defenders. Once you clear the Gizmo shop, make sure you take the opposite door, and then take the ladder up to the rooftop. There should be a slew of Dark Balls up here, so make sure you take care of them. And I believe exiting out the rooftop side of the Gizmo shop will guarantee you a normal Heartless encounter every single time. So we shouldn't have to worry about the Sniper Wild encounter if we aren't looking for that. So take out all the Dark Balls and then just cross the roofs on to the way to the balcony of the third district. On this rooftop, there should be a wave of Wyverns. Make sure you take care of them. And then after that, there should be a wave of Search Ghosts. Make sure you take care of them. And then once we take care of all of them, we are going to head back to the roof of the Gizmo shop. So just make sure you take the way you came back, and then we're going to work on grinding out the ground level enemies of the second district. So drop down in the corner where you see the Dalmatian house entrance, and then just work on all the second district enemies like normal. So start out in this corner, and then get everyone in the middle, and then take care of the two walkways, and then take care of the alleyway leading to the third district. So make sure you want to save that alleyway for last, since our next destination is going to be the third district. So just make sure you mop up all that. There should be every single type of enemy you need out here in abundance. So there should be more than enough opportunities of grabbing all of the items you need. So just make sure you wrap around, do a big old circle around the walkway, and then we're going to keep trucking along, and then eventually we're going to head over to the third district. So take the entrance into third district, and there's going to be the bunch of waves of enemies in the middle. So make sure you take care of them first. There's also going to be a huge amount of defenders here. So of course, be on the lookout for bright crystals and the defender shield drop. Once you take care of that, you can look behind the lady in the tramp wall, and there's going to be a few dark balls here. Might as well get them for the sake of completion. So make sure you get the one on this side, around the corner, get the one on the other side, and then once we clear third district, take the door back into first district, and that will complete one loop. Just keep running this loop over and over until you have everything you need, obviously making small adjustments once you complete one of a particular item, and we should be good for all of the crystal items. So on to the last tier 3 item, which is going to be the Gale. You're going to need 4 when it just comes to crafting recipes. However, like the Lucid Shard, there's going to be a special extra requirement of a minimum of 2. So make sure you get 6 total. These are going to be dropped by both of the 2 main enemies of the end of the world. Best place to grind them is going to be the last checkpoint, which is Final Rest. Head into the room directly behind you, which is going to be the Linked Worlds. This is going to be the main type of encounter, which is going to be 3 Invisibles and 2 Angels. Take them out. The Angels are going to have a slightly higher chance of dropping Gales, but honestly, it's negligible. Just clear the room and then keep recycling the room until you have the required amount you need. And with those out of the way, that's going to bring us to the Tier 4 items. Tier 4 items are dropped by Rare Heartless. This was a new addition during Final Mix, and we're going to cover the first one, which is going to drop the Blazing Stone. We are going to need 7 of these, and these can be found from the Chimera, which is going to be located in Halloween Town. Each of the Rare Heartless generally are going to be pretty tough fights, so you want to be pretty high level for this, and some of them require some special things in order to defeat. This first one's going to be pretty simple. What you want to do is you want to head over to the Manor Ruins, so make sure you head through town, through the graveyard, take the shortcut into Moonlight Hill, then take the hill over to the bridge, and then cross the bridge into the Manor Ruins. I recommend that you have at least Aroga going into this fight, since the Chimera will shoot projectiles at us, and if we deflect its projectiles, we are going to have a chance of getting even more Blazing Stones, so keep that in mind. So once you drop in to the Manor Ruins, in order to get the Chimera to have a chance of appearing, what you have to do is you have to take out every single enemy here. You're pretty much going to be ambushed by a few waves of White Knights. Make sure you take them out. Again, a good time to work on grinding out Lucid Gems at the same time, since these will have a chance of dropping those as well. The Chimera is going to drop in. You are going to basically get into this big fight with him. Cast Aroga right away, and then just start hitting him with as many combos as you can. Your goal is to just keep taking him out, and then if he manages to get a projectile attack off, you want to make sure you reflect that. With Aroga up, you should be able to reflect it every time, and again, every time you reflect one of his projectile attacks, you will have a chance of him dropping an additional Blazing Stone. That being said, if you do defeat him the normal way, he's going to have an 87.5% chance of dropping a stone if you have 3 times Lucky Strike, so pretty high odds if you have Lucky Strike up. He's also going to spawn in a bunch of gargoyles, so you're going to have chances of getting Lucid Gems if you really want to. However, I just recommend focusing on the Chimera. Keep Aroga up, and you should go down super easy peasy, and you should be good for your stone more likely than not. And then just keep that up until you have enough stones. On to the Frost Stone. You're going to need 7 of these. This one is going to take a little bit of prep work. It does have a 100% drop rate, however, it's going to be a little complicated in how the fight works. I recommend making a stop by in Traverse Town and then heading into the item shop. You're going to need a little bit of money for this. Make sure you stock up on high potions. This is going to be the most efficient item you can use. You can use any healing item for this, however, make sure you don't spend stuff that you actually want to keep. So again, just buy a bunch of sacrificial high potions here. So I recommend anywhere from 30 to 50 should suffice. Then what you want to do is you want to head over to Monstro, then make sure you equip all of your healing items. So make sure you go into your inventory, then make sure you stock up on all of those extra high potions we set. Again, you can use any type of potion, and the rarer the potion, the more damage you will do. However, once again, I don't recommend using items that you can't get back super easily. Whenever you are ready, make sure you climb the scaffolding, and you want to make sure you head into the throat and then climb the throat up until you get into the stomach. This is where the second parasite cage fight took place in the main story. So if you manage to return there, you should have a chance of the Grand Ghost appearing. Now, the Grand Ghost is going to be a pretty unique enemy. It is going to be completely immune to all physical damage and all types of magic. The only way to damage it is to give it healing items. So what you want to do is you want to make sure you go up next to it, you want to go to your items, and then you want to use an item, and then you want to make sure you select Ghost. It's very similar to giving a flower a potion in Wonderland. And then basically every time you hit it with a potion, it should take damage. And once you manage to heal it to death, you should have a 100% drop of a Frost Stone. Moving on to the Lightning Stone, the most frustrating item in the game. You're going to need 5 of these. This one's going to be located in Deep Jungle. What you want to do is you want to head over to the campsite. You want to make sure you look for the rare heartless known as the Black Ballad. It's going to be located in the Bamboo Thicket. Once you spot it, what you want to do is you want to make sure you go up to it and you want to hit it. It's going to split into 5, and then one of them is going to jump up, and then they are going to shuffle around. It's basically going to be one of those choose the right cups kind of games. Now, normally this is very frustrating to do, especially with the naked eye. However, what you can do is you can use the pause trick. So you want to stand about this far back, and then you want to keep your eyes focused on the right one, and then just rapidly keep pausing and unpausing. This should give you an easier time of focusing and choosing the right one. Once you manage to spot the right one, you are going to have to hit it, and then it's going to have a small chance of dropping the stone. Then it's going to split again, and then you're basically supposed to do the same thing. However, it's going to move slightly faster this time. And then every time you do this, you are going to have a slightly faster moving set of 5, but then every subsequent hit, you're going to have a higher chance of it dropping the stone. If you manage to land 4 successful hits, it's going to give you a 100% chance of dropping the stone. However, if you make a mistake and hit the wrong one 3 times, it's going to despawn, so keep all of that in mind. So the pause trick is definitely going to be the way to go. However, it is still pretty fast, even pausing and rapidly unpausing the game. So if you happen to have a capture card and some capture software, I also recommend using that in conjunction with the pause trick, and that way you can just record your footage and then just play it back, and then hopefully that should make things easier. But again, this is going to be the biggest pain in terms of all of the items. Whatever the case, whenever you get to a 4th successful hit, you should have a 100% odds drop every single time, so try your best to persevere, but this is going to be a pain trying to get all 5 stones. So, best of luck with that, but it's going to be on to a really good Sega Dreamcast game in the form of Power Stone. You're going to need 5 of these. These can be found in Traverse Town. You want to make sure you look for it in the 2nd district. This one is going to be the Sniper Wild. When you first encounter her, she's going to be by herself. I recommend casting Aroga before getting into the fight. Basically, this is the way she's going to work. Every time you defeat her, she is going to multiply. Your goal is to defeat as many as you can before she can target you. Once she targets you, she is going to endlessly multiply, and then there's not much you can do but escape or die. So your goal is to basically try to defeat as many before that happens, and every multiple of 6, you should have a chance of her dropping a Power Stone. So the strategy to the fight is to just stay on your feet and then just keep attacking her as she's multiplying. So just keep whittling away. Make sure you keep Aroga up and make sure you stay out of her sight. Once you get the targets on you, it's time to run away because she will decimate you if you're not careful. So just try your best to kill at least 6. That way you get at least 1 Power Stone, or at least have the chance of getting 1 Power Stone. And then just make your grand escape and then come back and try again later. This is going to take us to the aforementioned Fury Stone, which is going to be dropped by the Giga Shadow. So again, Giga Shadows are going to be found in Wonderland. What you want to do is want to head over to Queen's Castle and then take the castle side entrance into the Bazaar Room. From here, if you manage to spot a wave of 10 shadows, what you have to do is you have to make sure you defeat them. 2 more waves are going to appear. Defeat every single shadow, and then a group of Giga Shadows are going to appear. So this is the way the Giga Shadow fight is going to work. Basically, you're going to get a group of 7 that appear. They are going to stick around until they can land a successful hit on you. Once they land a hit on you, they are going to disappear in their entirety. Your goal is to defeat as many as you can before getting damaged. If you manage to defeat 6 of them, you should get 1 Fury Stone to drop. If you manage to defeat all 7, you should get 2 Fury Stones. So just keep the fight aggressive and keep Aroga up, and that one should be a cinch, and you should be good for the double drop. Moving on to the Energy Stone, you're going to need 6 of these. These can be dropped by the Stealth Soldiers, which can be found all over Hollow Bastion. The best place of getting them to spawn consistently is going to be in the Grand Hall. So jump over to the Castle Chapel, and then just float on over to the Grand Hall over here. And then what you want to do is you want to skip all the enemies in the front, and then just float straight to the back where you had your second fight with Riku. So just make sure you climb the stairs, and then right here in the middle, you should get a first slew of Heartless. So make sure you take them out. And then you want to kind of pay attention to the fight. If you notice there's going to be an invisible Heartless right here, make sure you target him, and what you want to do is you want to cast Stop. That should prevent him from escaping, and then your goal is to try to defeat him as quickly as possible before he can escape. If you manage to defeat him before he can escape, you should have a chance of having him drop an Energy Stone. More may show up, but you probably won't have enough time to deal with any additional ones, so try to aim for at least 1 stone. For the Dazzling Stone, you're going to need 6 of them. Do not bother attempting this until you have Aroga. Once you do, head over to Neverland, and then make sure you stop by in the ship cabin. What you want to do is you want to float on through the hatch, and then head through the captain's quarters out onto the deck. You should have a chance of having the rare Heartless encounter against the jet balloon. If you see it, immediately cast Aroga, and then all you have to do is just chase it down. If you have Aroga up, you should deflect every single one of its projectile attacks. So just fly up to it, and then try to lay the smackdown on it. It has pretty low health, and because you are invincible from its projectiles, you should have an easy time of defeating it. It does also have a 100% chance drop, so this one's going to be one of the easier rare Heartless to deal with. Unfortunately, that's not going to be the case with this one, which is going to be the Serenity Power. You are going to need 7 of them, and they are dropped by the pink Agaricus. This one's going to be a pink mushroom that is best found in Deep Jungle at the Treehouse. You can also find them in Atlantica, however, they are way harder to deal with there because of the water, so might as well just stick with the one in Deep Jungle. So head over to the tunnel. You are also going to need some prep work for this. So you want a Keyblade that is going to have high summon power and also give you MP. So Spellbinder, Crabclaw, Oathkeeper, or Diamond Dust should do. Diamond Dust is probably the better option, however, it requires you to defeat the Ice Titan, which you may or may not have at this point, but that's the one I recommend. And you are also going to need to fill out your accessories list with things that do the same, so stuff that fills out MP and summon power. Here's going to be a small list of recommended ones. You may or may not have these already, and then some of them are available through item synthesis, so you can also synthesize them as you're going along. So make sure you have as many as you can afford to get at this point in the game. Once you have your equipment taken care of, you're also going to need to equip some certain abilities, so head into abilities. You want to prioritize anything that is going to increase your combo. So make sure you equip stuff like Combo Master, Combo Plus, both Air Combo Pluses, Sliding Dash is useful, Aerial Sweep, Hurricane Blast is going to be a must, so I highly recommend that. And then once you have all of that, make sure you head into your shortcuts. Make sure you shortcut Stop and Arrow. I recommend as having high of tier of spells as you can. However, for the bare minimum, you're going to need at least Aroa. So once you have those set, make sure you head over to the treehouse. So just cut through the treetop and the climbing trees until you get to the base of the house. You're going to have the chance of having the encounter. You know you have the chance of the encounter if you notice there are going to be nothing but white mushrooms stuck in their stop command here. So if you notice that, go up to the white mushroom and then cast stop on it. Then there's going to be an additional 2 white mushrooms hidden around the house that you also need to cast stop on. So make sure you look all over the house. They can appear pretty much anywhere, but the main locations are going to be the hill. They can appear in the rafters of the house. They can also appear on the roof of the house or in the little boat hanging off the crow's nest. So just make sure you check every single location, but you do not want to leave the house. So just make sure you look around. You want to be a little patient and vigilant, but if you manage to spot them, just run over or glide over or whatever, and then just make sure you cast stop on all of them. Once you cast stop on the 3rd one, it should spawn the pink mushroom you are looking for. It is always going to spawn in the doorway of the treehouse. So if you notice there's going to be a mushroom that is going to be closer to the door, make sure you save that one for last. So once you get all 3 mushrooms out of the way, make sure you head over to the door, and then you're going to get ready for the pink mushroom fight. So it's going to be right here in the doorway. Then what you want to do is you want to go up to it. You're going to want to do these very specific things in this order. First off, start off by summoning Bambi. Once Bambi is out, what you want to do is you want to make sure you fill all the MP you use in order to get rid of the white mushrooms. Take your time on this. The fight doesn't start until you land a hit on the mushroom. Once you are ready, make sure you cast arrow on yourself. You want to jump and then lock onto its head. It's going to have two lock-onable parts, its head and its body. Make sure you lock onto the head. Whenever you are ready to start the fight, what you have to do is you have to make sure you cast stop on it. You want to jump and then you want to try to target its head. Your goal is to try to land as many combos as you can while it's under stop on its head. So keep jumping and keep chaining your air combos together. So the way its item drops are going to work is if you manage to land 40 hits on it, it should have a 10% chance of dropping the item after the 40th hit. If you manage to land 70, it's going to have a 20% chance, and if you happen to land 100, it should have a 100% chance drop. So in total, it should have the ability to drop at least 3 Serenity Powers if you're lucky. But obviously, if you get to at least 100 hits, you are guaranteed at least 1. So try to make as big of a combo as you can, but all that prep work should pay dividends since it will guarantee you the best strategy in order to get the combo. Next item up is going to be the Stormy Stone. You are going to need 4 of these. They are dropped by the Neo Shadows. These can be found at the end of the world in the Linked Worlds area. So it's going to be that room behind the final rest, which is the last checkpoint of the game. Make sure you head into the room. If you happen to get the right encounter, they are going to come swooping in. These guys are going to hit like trucks, so make sure you throw up Aeroga and then try your best to get through this fight. There should be about 7 of them or so, and your goal is to defeat all of them. They are going to count as a single enemy in terms of the item drop, so you have to defeat every single one in order to get a chance of the drop. So it's a pretty tough fight, as I said, but just try your best to stick with it. You also want to try to do this fight pretty quickly since this is on kind of a timer. If you happen to mess up the wave, they're going to spawn a fresh batch in. But if you can clear a wave, it should drop the item most likely, and then we can move on to the next one. Last tier 4 item is going to be the Mythril Stone. You're going to need 8, however you may need more if you are lacking in Mythrils. These are going to be dropped by the Pot Scorpion, which can be found in Agrabah. What you want to do is you want to head over there, head over to Aladdin's house, and then take the left pole next to the giant gaping hole down to Main Street. Then you can either drop down onto the street itself, or you could take the upper entrance. Your goal is to get to the palace gates. If you happen to get the Pot Scorpion spawn, it should appear as these bunch of pots. Make sure you stand far back and then just try to hit them with fire. If you manage to break all of them before triggering the spawn, you should have a chance of getting a bonus stone, so that's a note to keep in mind. However, once you manage to hit the pot with the scorpion in it, you are going to start the fight. You are going to need at least Aroa. Without that or Aroga, you are not able to damage the Scorpion. So make sure you cast that on you, and pretty much if the Scorpion manages to hit you with Aroa or higher on, it should flip itself, and the only time you can do damage to it is if it's flipped on its back. So pretty much your goal is to just kind of kill time and then let it lunge at you, and then it should reflect onto its back, and then you can just lay the smackdown on it. Then all you really have to do is just kill time in the fight until it does its next lunging attack. Just make sure you keep Aroa up, and then once it flips, just make sure you keep attacking it, and then once you manage to defeat it, you should get your Mythril Stone more likely than not. So again, you are going to need Aroa for this in order to guarantee yourself the win, but it's a pretty simple fight once you figure that out. And with that, we are left with just the specialty items. These are going to be items that aren't necessarily dropped by enemies. They are going to be found in treasure chests during your travels, more likely than not. However, if you manage to skimp out on treasure chests, there are going to be alternate ways of getting them, which sometimes does involve defeating certain enemies. So the first one we are going to cover is going to be the Mythril Shard. You are going to need 12 of them. You may need extra if you are lacking in Mythrils, which is going to be another specialty item, which we'll cover next. However, there are going to be a total of 34 available to you during your travels in the wild. If for whatever reason you still don't have enough by the time you start synthesizing items, say you played through the game without picking up any treasure chests, there are going to be certain enemies that do drop Mythril Shards. Both spider types are going to have a 2.5% drop with 3 times Lucky Strike, so go to Agrabah for pot spiders or Monstro for barrel spiders, but the best way of getting Mythril Shards is going to be to farm the Archbehemoth at the end of the world. So during your first trip there, you are more likely than not going to fight at least 3 of them. However, you can get at least 1 to respawn. Head over to the Gate of the Dark and then just navigate your way around the invisible maze. Once you get to the end portal, in order to make the jump over to the giant crevasse, you are going to have to fight an archbehemoth. So the archbehemoth, if you don't know, is just a weaker form of the behemoth you fought in Hollow Bastion. It's going to have a pretty chunky health bar, however, you can just spam gravity on it to deal with its first half, and then it should go down easily. So once you take care of it, it should have a 50% chance of dropping a Mythril Shard with 3 times Lucky Strike. So this is going to be the highest odds of trying to draw a Mythril Strike outside of treasure chests. As for the whole Mythril, you're going to need 13 of these for crafting. However, one of the crafting materials is going to require another crafting material, which requires you to have extra. So you are going to need another 4 for 17 total, similar to the Lucid Shard and the Gale. So Mythrils, like Mythril Shards, are going to be a specialty item. Most of them can be found within treasure chests. There's a total of 23 out in the wild. You cannot find Mythrils through enemy drops, however, you can craft Mythrils using the Synthesis system. So it's going to be 5 Mythril Shards, 1 Mythril Stone, and 1 Mystery Goo in order to make 1 Mythril. So you are going to have to farm those if you are lacking in whole Mythrils. Next specialty item is going to be the Orichalcum. You're going to need 19 of them. However, there are only 17 available in the wild through treasure chests, and you probably don't have all of them. So if you are in need of Orichalcums, which of course you are going to need a minimum of 2, they can actually be bought from the item shop. So make sure you head over there. It's going to be next door from the accessory shop if you haven't been there yet. And then just drop the cash on the Orichalcums. They're going to be the most expensive thing in the store. Again, 5,000 money per Orichalcum. So if you are still lacking in money, just go back to farming. You should have a ton of money from farming the other synthesis items though. So you should be good for at least a few. Buy however many you need. Again, you need 19 total. So hopefully you did a pretty good job of grabbing them from chests during the main game. Then the last specialty item is going to be the dark matter. You're going to need 14 of these. However, there are going to be 11 that can be found out in the wild. Because one of them is going to count for this achievement, that's going to leave us with 2 that we need to craft, which is why we got those extra Lucid Shards, Gales, and Mythrils. Now, if you don't want to go out and find the 11 that are out in the wild, or you don't want to find all of them, you can just craft however many you need. However, keep in mind that is going to require that you get extra Mythrils, which in and of itself requires crafting. So keep that in mind. Doing that method is going to take a ton of grinding. However, it is an option that you have to explore. As for the 11 that you can find in the wild, they are pretty easy to get through backtracking, so I'm going to show you where to get them. First one you can get is going to be at Wonderland. What you want to do is you want to head over to Queen's Castle. There's going to be 2 methods of this. If this is your first time at Wonderland and you don't have access to high jump nor glide, what you can do is you can head into the Lotus Forest. What you want to do is you want to head towards the back, and then you want to take the mushrooms up. You want to go to the entrance directly above the Tea Party Garden to the Bazaar Room. You are going to need to swing the tree to this side if you haven't already in order to make it with a normal jump. However, once you make it up here, you are going to be in this area of the Bazaar Room. What you want to do is you want to go all the way over here, and then you want to go past the painting that you use to get to the White Trinity and Lady Luck later. You're going to notice there's going to be a shelf here that's turned sideways with a teddy bear on it. What you want to do is you want to make sure you swing at the shelf wire. That should knock the teddy bear onto the chair below. Then what you have to do is you have to return to the Bazaar Room in its normal orientation as normal size. You can just walk there, or you can be smart and just gummy ship hop. So make sure you gummy ship hop over to the rabbit hole, and this should set you back to normal size. Head into the Bazaar Room from this side, and then what you want to do while you are still big is you want to make sure you head over here, interact with the teddy bear. That should switch its seat over, and then it should also pop out the grandfather clock. Interact with the clock in order to move it out of the way, and then that should reveal a hidden exit. Then go over to the 2 jars, shrink down in size, and then just make sure you take that hidden exit, and this is going to take you to the Tea Party Garden. However, it's going to put you on the balcony above the house. And then all you have to do is just open up this chest, and you should get your first dark matter. Alternatively, if you don't want to deal with all this puzzle solving, you can come back to Wonderland once you have high jump and glide. You can jump all the way up here, and then you can glide to the corner directly above the castle entrance. And then over here is going to be a chest with an Orichalcum in it. Might want to pick that up, that's useful. And then just head through this way. This should put you on the hedge of the Tea Party house. And then what you can do is you can just float on over using glide to this hedge, and then you can do a big high jump over here in the corner and then just float over to the balcony, watching out for the wires of the lanterns. Either way should be fine, and that's going to take us to the second dark matter location, which is going to be the one at the Olympus Coliseum. This requires you to beat the time trial version of the Pegasus Cup. So to do so, you have to beat the Pegasus Cup once the normal way with the team, then you have to beat it by yourself, and then you're going to have to set the time limit. It's going to be 3 minutes. It shouldn't be too difficult as long as you are a high enough level. Just keep that in mind. Keep your eye on the time limit and try to pace yourself to about 10 to 20 seconds a fight, and you should have more than enough time to deal with the last boss, which is going to be Leon and Yuffie. Having a Roga is going to help out a ton since it's basically going to reflect all of Yuffie's shurikens back at her, making her half of the fight super duper easy. Once you take care of that, you should get your Dark Matter as a prize, as well as the achievement for clearing a time tournament if you haven't done so already, called Time Attacker for a 15 gamer score. Next Dark Matter is going to be located at Deep Jungle. This one is to complete the third course of the Jungle Slider, collecting all 10 fruits. So what you want to do is you first need to unlock the third course. So hop into the tree stump and then you should get the first course. You are going to want to unlock the second course, and to do that, what you have to do is you have to get to the end of the first course. You are going to notice there's going to be a fork in the road right before the finish line. To open up the second course, what you have to do is you have to take the left fork. You should bump into a rock, and that's going to open it up on subsequent run-throughs. So as soon as you pass this tree branch, you are going to notice the fork, steer left, and then you should break the rock. Then you can either finish the course or you can be smart and you can hit the start button. Go over to restart. That should send you back to the start of the course, but also keep all the progress you made. Jump back into the tree stump, and then this time you want to make sure you do course 1, and then this time instead of finishing or hitting the restart button, you want to make sure you go into that fork we just opened up. So this is going to open up the pathway in order to get to the second course. So just play the game like normal. You can pick up the fruit if you really want to. We aren't aiming for a perfect game just quite yet, but we're going to head into the second course. To unlock the third course, what you have to do is you have to make sure you pick up all the fruit during the second course. So this one you actually want to try to play as well as you can. So make sure you start the second course. This one's going to take place in the cave. First 3 fruits are right over here. Then we're going to keep going forward. Next 3 fruits are going to be right here next to this little thing of water, and then just make sure you grab those. Some obstacles along the way, you can hit them if you really want to. It just slows you down, but we don't really care about time. We are just worried about picking up the fruits. So steer around them if you really must, but once you get out into the open right here, you want to stay in the middle. Make sure you thread the needle between these 2 rocks and then this one to get the next few fruits. Lean right to get this fruit. You should get your prize for collecting all the fruits so far, which is going to be an AP up, but you do need to finish the course. The fork would be right here, but of course the rocks aren't out of the way until we finish for the first time. So just make sure you keep sliding down the correct path, which is also the right path in this situation. So just keep trucking forward, and then once you get to the end of the tunnel, you should fall through and then end up in Hippo's Lagoon. Make sure you navigate back to camp and then gummy ship hop, and then we are going to head back to the tunnel. So make sure you do that, and then we're going to start up the course one more time, and our goal is to pick up every single fruit along the way. So drop down into the hole, and then we're going to start course 1. Make sure you pick up all the fruit along the way. It should be super simple at this point since we've played this so many times. First 3 fruits right here. Then make sure you lean to the right and then grab these 3. Then it's going to be back to the middle right here to grab these 3, and we should be at 9. Watch out for the branches. You can either hit or jump over them, doesn't really matter, or you can tank the hit if you're lazy. And then steer your way through here. Grab the 10th fruit before the fork, and then lean hard left to start course 2. So we're going to be back in the cave. All you have to do is just repeat exactly what we just did. So make sure you do that. The only change up is towards the end where we have to take that little detour to get to course 3. First 3 fruits directly in front of you, then we're going to slide down. Next 3 are going to be by the little waterfall thing. Make sure you grab those. We should be at 6. Watch out for the few obstacles if you really want to. Again, they don't really do much other than slow us down, but we don't care about time. Then we're going to get past this. Once you get out into the open, make sure you know which rocks to go between. First set up, thread the needle, then lean left to thread this needle, and then all the way to the right to grab number 20. Then we're going to lean hard left once we get to this tunnel in order to take the fork. So make sure you go left, and then we should be on our way to the third course. Again, we need to make sure we pick up every single fruit in this course in order to get ourselves the dark matter. So make sure once you see the light at the end of the tunnel, we're going to start course 3. So we're going to start out, make sure you stay in the middle and then grab the first few fruits right here. And then we're going to take this turn, lean hard left to grab these 3, and then we're going to stay in the middle to grab these 3. Then there's going to be one more, which is going to be right here, slight left, and that should give us our dark matter. You don't have to do courses 4 nor 5, so we can just skip that. And that's going to take us to the next dark matter, which is going to be in Agrabah. Make sure you head over to Aladdin's house. You're going to want to have at least high jump for this. Make sure you take the left pole out onto the streets, and then what you want to do is you want to turn. You want to jump across to where the palace gates entrance is, so right over here. Then you want to jump across onto this part of the roof. Then you want to use your high jump to get on top of this archway, and then right here is going to be a chest with a dark matter in it. This one's going to be super simple, actually, and ironically, so make sure you grab this, and that's going to be another one out of the way. Next one up is going to be in Monstro. This one is going to be part of a White Trinity, so that's going to be part of the Trinities achievement, so keep that in mind. So to find it, make sure you head into the bowels, go through Chamber 1, then on to Chamber 2, then make sure you take the linear hallway through. Of course, we all covered this in the Trinity guide, so you can look at that if you want to see the rest of the Trinities. Back into Chamber 2, this time on the upper part, make sure you cross over here into Chamber 5. Once you are here, make sure you take the linear hallway into the next chamber, which is going to be chamber number 6. From here, make sure you clear the enemies and then head right. You are going to have a drop right here, and the White Trinity is going to be right here. Feel free to activate it, and then inside the chest that it spawns is going to be our next dark matter, so we can add that to our collection, and that will save us one more grind. On to Halloween Town, there are going to be no dark matters in Atlantica, thankfully. So make sure you head into Halloween Town. This one is going to be located where we found a certain set of puppies. You cannot get this in your initial visit here. You have to come on a revisit. So once you seal the keyhole, you can come back at any time. And then once you do, you should be able to access the Christmas tree door. Head through the graveyard. You take the shortcut to Moonlight Hill, which is probably the better route to take since it puts you right next to the Christmas tree door. So light the lift and then make sure you ride it up, and then this should take you straight to the hill. And then make sure you turn slightly, and right behind you is going to be the Christmas tree door. Make sure you head on inside, and then in here is going to be a slew of treasures. The one that's going to be pertinent to us is going to be the dark matter, which is going to be right over here behind the skeleton on the hanging tree. Open this one up, and then the dark matter will be ours, and then we can move on to the next one, which is going to be in Neverland. This one's going to be part of a yellow trinity, again part of the Trinities achievement if you want more info. So make sure you finish up the Hercules cup and then unlock the yellow trinity, then head back to Neverland and then start out in the hold. Go into the next room and then use the yellow trinity on this door to open it up. Inside this room is going to be a slew of treasures. Most notably, you're going to get an upgrade to your arrow spell, as well as find a puppy set. But pertinent to this particular achievement is going to be this chest, which is going to have the next dark matter. Then we're going to head into the 100-acre wood. This dark matter could be found in the Tigger's Bouncing Grounds area. Once you are here, what you want to do is you want to make sure you take a left, jump up these 2 stumps onto this cliffside, run up the treetops, jump onto this branch, and then use glide to float into this canopy right here. Inside is going to be this chest with another dark matter, so grab that. And then we are going to have 2 in Hollow Bastion. First one can be gone during your first trip here. It's going to be located in the waterway. You are going to need to come down here. You can actually get this while you are still with Beast trying to open up the castle gates. But the first wall you break open with the Beast, there's going to be this bubble. Make sure you cast Blizzard on it, and then you can jump on top of it. Then you can turn around, you can jump on top of this wall, and then scale the wall, and then you will notice there's going to be a partition of floor right here with a chest. Inside is going to be a dark matter. Then the next one is going to be located in the Grand Hall. You are obviously going to need to come here on your second trip or later. So from the hallway, what you want to do is you want to head over to the Grand Hall. So take the little walkway at the lift stop. And then once you get into the hall, what you want to do is you want to go forward. You want to go to the center area and then take the right staircase up. Along the staircase is going to be the banister. On said banister is going to be this chest. Inside said chest is going to be the dark matter. Open it up when you get a clearing in Heartless, and then that's going to be one more to the collection. And then the last one that can be found out in the wild is going to be at the end of the world. It's going to be located in the giant crevasse, and to get there, you want to start at the gate to the dark. You want to navigate through the invisible maze and then get to the end portal. You want to hop through the portal and defeat the archbehemoth. You can do this while grinding for Mythril Shards if you really want to, and then take the warp over to the giant crevasse. You want to be at the top of the crevasse, so that's the reason we're going this way. Then what you want to do is you want to make sure you go forward from the starting point, and we're trying to get to that level that's going to be slightly above us. Make sure you jump across this gap right here, and then what you need to do is you need to make sure you use glide, and your goal is to aim for that little bit of webbing to the right. Be very careful not to fall into that cage. You don't want to trigger the fight against the invisibles, so make sure you just climb up here, and then make sure you get off at the tippy top. Once you are here, make sure you jump over to this platform. Then you are going to do one more jump, and then you should be on this platform. You will see a chest here. Inside the chest is going to be our last dark matter that we can find out in the wild. That should set us up with 11, and then we should be done with all our crafting supplies. Back to the synthesis shop in order to craft all our stuff. Of course, you probably did this along the way, but either way is acceptable as long as you make one of each item. After you make your first one, you should be good for your first synthesis achievement. That's going to be for 15 gamer score. Once you make an item for the first time, you're going to get the green mix badge next to it, so you don't have to keep track on your own. The game will keep track for you. So just keep rattling down the list and try to make one of each item. You can make extras of any item, however, that will eat into your supplies, so try not to do that unless you want to regrind certain items. Once you get to 3, you should be good for the Synthesis Novice achievement. That's going to be for 15 gamer score. Keep going down the list. You will notice that the list is only going to be populated with 6 things at a time, so you have to complete certain subsets of the list in order to unlock the next subset. So once you are out of items to create, just back out and then re-enter the menu, and you will notice once you have created enough of one set, the Moogle is going to refill the list with additional new items you can craft. So keep running down the list. If you ever get into a situation where you don't have enough of something, just skip it and then come back to it later. Of course, you do have to go back out in the wild and regrind, but come back once you have it and then just make sure you check it off the list. So once we approach the halfway point, which is going to be 15 items, we should be good for our next achievement of the achievement family. This one is going to be the Synthesis Amateur achievement. That's going to be another 15 gamer score. Once you have mixed at least 15 things, you can exit, and then the Moogle is going to give us the Encounter Plus ability. If you equip this, basically it's going to make the Heartless refresh after one screen rather than two, so it should speed things up a bit if you're item farming. However, it's not super useful, but nonetheless, it's a freebie, so might as well take it. Unfortunately, that's going to be it for freebies. Would have been nice to have something that increased enemy drops, but what are you going to do? Once you get to the 30 section, you should unlock Dark Matter, which is the only one you are required to make duplicates of. So remember, you are going to need an additional 2 Dark Matters, so you're going to have to make 3 Dark Matters. So use your extra ingredients that you got to get those, if you happen to get the 11 out in the wild. If not, you are going to have to make more Dark Matters, which is going to be a little annoying. So coming up on the finish line right here, once you get to 30 creations, we should be good for the next achievement, which is to synthesize 30 items. This one is going to be the Synthesis Vet. It's going to be for another 15 gamer score. This is also going to unlock the next 3 things, which are all going to be weapons. You have Fantasista, which is going to be a staff for Donald, 7 Elements, which is going to be a shield for Goofy, and of course Ultima Weapon, which is going to be the strongest weapon for Sora. These are all also going to be part of the get all staffs, all shields, and all keyblades achievements, respectively, so make sure you keep that in mind. Ultima Weapon is also Sora's strongest weapon, however, Fantasista and 7 Elements are not Donald and Goofy's ultimate weapons, so also keep that in mind. But once you have finished the list and have everything, you should finally be good for the achievement, 15 gamer score, and you should have also some of the harder elements for other achievements. But that's going to be the complete synthesis guide. And that's all there is to it.